Because I can tell you, I can real quick tell you, when you see somebody get in trouble, well, they deserve that. My goodness, if they weren't doing it, if they were minding their own business or going and doing this or not doing this, but that ain't how the Lord talked. The Lord didn't talk about stuff like that. The Lord looked at us and loved us because He knew we were fallen, and He knew that we were failing, and He knew we were going to fail. But He loved us so much. I like that song that's out there. He couldn't stand the thought of heaven not having us there. And that's why He died. He came and died for us to make a way for that. And it's a terrible tragedy if you don't accept it. Because there's nothing, you're always going to hear that. I didn't deserve that. Well, you're right. None of us did. Because if life was fair, it wouldn't have been us under it. Not Him. Because it wasn't fair. And then all of a sudden the Lord forgives them and gets them out of there. And you think, well, wait a minute. Look what that guy did. And it was so easy. And poor Jonah. You know, Jonah, he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to go there. He went just as hard as he could the other way. And what God have to do to get him to go? He put him inside a fish and carried him 3 days up under the water. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but it describes the undersea to a T in a way that we could not know until about 100 years ago. Talking about the mountains and all this other stuff that were under the sea. We just found that out within the last 100 years. But yet over 2,000 years ago, somebody wrote that. That's pretty amazing when you stop and look at that.
We're behind times.
But the other time that's funny to me is even after God told him to go again, and what did he do? All joking aside, he didn't preach the best sermon you ever heard of. He just started walking through the city and he says, repent or God's going to destroy this place. He just walked through that. That's not a sermon. Repent or God's going to destroy this place. But what happened? God was in it. And those people said, oh my goodness. And it says they repented. As a matter of fact, to the point that in the New Testament it says that the people that are in that city will rise up at the end of time and point at the cities that Jesus did all those miracles at. And have accusations against them, because if those same miracles would be there, he said Nineveh would still be there to this day, just like he said that about Sodom. So what I'm getting at, and what I'm saying is what I realize is, I think there's a little bit of Jonah in all of us. We do what we do what the Lord wants us to do, but we're kind of begrudging in it. But I got news to you. I told somebody this. You always hear this. The Lord sent me someplace. And I decided not to go or did something. And I lost my blessing. I said, but I'm going to tell you something. If the Lord has decided that person that was going to be witnessed to was going to be born again, or that city was going to be called or whatever again, just because you don't get off your backside and go, don't mean he's going to let that place go to hell. He's going to pull somebody else up and send them there. Because God doesn't fail. Just because you fail don't mean he fails. And that's just the bottom line, is that right there. So yes, you lost your blessing for disobeying him, and that next guy is going to get that blessing. Just like it was, and he says in Jonah, where he kept saying that, where Jonah got mad because he knew God was going to forgive him. Now I'm not saying these people weren't bad. I researched into this. These people were not nice.
They're wicked.
They were bad, okay?
They worship pagan gods.
I mean, not just that, but how they treated prisoners and what they did for torture and stuff like that. These people are bad. So you would say, okay, he was right to feel